Good afternoon, Tom Ginn. Elevate your profits. We are going to be right. Boom, we are live. Good
Man, that's
afternoon,
awesome.
Mark.
I'm all awake now, man. I'll tell you.
What was that, sir?
I said, I am wide awake now. Let me tell you. It's just coming at you full tilt.
All right. Well, today it's I'm kind of excited today, but who our guest is. I'll get to that in a moment. But what we really want to do is just sort of share with everybody the purpose of Elevate Your Profits. I'll let you go ahead and start tonight, Mark.
Oh, cool. Elevate your profits. It's not just about the dollars and cents, although that's part of the equation, but other things that you do for yourself, how you serve others. And I got to say this, that service to others is truly the rent that you pay for your room here on earth. And that's what we're trying to do here is share things. We get different people in here. They share their stories, what they're doing. They inspire me just by listening to these people that come on here tonight. And actually, tonight I'm not going to give it away. I'll let Tom do that. I can't wait to hear this story. This is going to be kind of cool. And
Yeah,
you got the 3G factor going here again. And it's not Tom
it
Gavin
is
either.
G-force. G is for gratitude. So that's something else. But the whole, like you said, Mark, the whole platform of Elevate Your Profits is number one is help people that maybe have a desire to go into business. And
Right.
what does that look like? What are the options? We bring people in that on all different walks of business life. But I think the most important thing is hearing people's stories, why they go into business, what it takes to win. And today I'm really excited to bring somebody in that's very dear to my heart. This person is my greatest influencer in life. She's a friend. She's a mentor to me as well. And I think you will see what happened when we do the interview today. She's the love of my life, as she is my why. And also, she was my very first interview when I decided to go live.
I remember that. I remember that interview. Do you want to tell the rest of that story, though?
We're going to let her tell that story to see how that goes. But I'm really honored and excited to introduce my wife, my friend, my mentor into tonight's platform. I'm going to bring in Kathy. She had a special request, so in the green room, she's totally satisfied with what I left her in the jelly bean dish. So Kathy, are you ready to come in? There she is.
There she is.
Well, Kathy, it's all you. No, but what we would like to do, Kathy, is we just want to make sure people tonight are tagging and sharing this out with their friends, their business colleagues, their families, because we never know what message might touch somebody, make a difference in their life, or give them hope, or give them some motivation or purpose to take that challenge on and do something different in their life. But with that all said, Kathy, what I like to do is just start with this is say, I'm glad you're here. I'm excited for you. We got a lot of things we're going to do tonight and throw 10,000 questions at you. But it's really about your journey. And so why don't you share, and then Mark and I will come back in and answer questions.
Sure.
Let's share your story. Where are you from? And where you are that maybe a short story, a little bit about where we are today, and then we'll dive a little deeper on some topics.
Okay. Before I answer that, I just have to share something that's on my mind that both of you have said, not only tonight, but over and over again, as I've watched you and heard you speak, is the topic of story. You know, both of you are so into stories, and I've learned a lot from the two of you. You don't know this, but how you run this Elevate Your Profits and the other things you do. I really never knew how important stories were. Actually, I was a bit bashful of sharing stories. To me, they were private. Nobody probably would care anyway. And I didn't really know how they could influence another person. But I have learned an immense deal. And now I love storytelling and stories. And I thank the both of you guys for influencing me with storytelling. Really.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm from Wisconsin, born and raised in Oconomowoc, and left for 35 years, traveled around quite a bit, and then came back to my birthplace in 2013.
So you left to Wisconsin. How many years ago was that?
I left in 1977.
Oh, wow.
The day Elvis Presley died.
Wow.
That is true. And in August, it's coming up, the reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1977, I left. Yes.
You know, in your story is that, you know, you grew up here in Wisconsin. You graduated from high school, right? What was your desires? What were the things that you were looking at when you were young? And where do you go to school? And, you know, what was the transition that got you to California? Why don't you share that story with people?
Yeah. Boy, I always wanted to be a teacher, actually. When I was a little girl, that was always on my heart. I love the movie To Sir with Love by Sidney Poitier.
Oh, my goodness.
A young girl at the time of watching that. I remember at the big screen movie theater, you know, back in the 60s. And I'm like, wow. It just influenced me greatly. And from then on, I think it sparked in me what was already within me and wanted to be a teacher. So, yeah, went through high school, graduated from high school, went to college. My major was in social work. Went through 3.5 years of college. And one day, literally, I think it was one day, realized I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be in college. I didn't want to graduate. I didn't want to graduate and be part of a system that I realized I was going to enter. I really didn't even know what that meant at the time. I just knew it was too confining to me. And so I joined the military, actually. I had about a year left in college, and I just left and didn't know what to do, actually. So I joined the military. I was in the Army for 3.5 years, and got out and moved to California. I was young, wanted to explore, and I thought if I come back home, it probably would end up being very boring to me. So I made a decision to move out to California.
Right.
No real goal, no nothing, except I knew what I didn't want. And that's been pretty much a pattern of my life. I wasn't real specific on what I wanted, but I was very, very clear on what I didn't want. And that often led me to realizing what I really wanted. And as I get older and reflect back, I think, wow, that is a pretty cool thing. And when I talk to younger people, you know, and I'm very careful with that question. What do you want and what are you going to do? And they're only 18 years old. And I'm like, I can't go there with them. So I have this discussion around, unless they really know what they want, but what don't you want? and it just is a juicy, I see their eyes light up, and it's information for them. So yeah, ended up in California and still really didn't know what I wanted to do. Did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, insurance, travel agency work, waitressing, you know, didn't really know until,
Wow.
yeah.
You know, Kathy, you said something, and I think it's really important. You know, people many times, even today, you know, some people don't know what they really want to do. They get stuck in a system or get locked into those things, and people's dreams have been squashed or circumstances come in. But I think what you just said there, because we're both personal development coaches, so we've been trained, and we'll talk about that later through Bob Proctor. But you know, knowing what you want, many times we don't know what we really want. When did you discover? You know, you mentioned that what you don't want and how powerful that is,
Yes.
because I think that helps people clear the clutter out of the way, whether it be our cultural influences, our friends and family, our schooling, all those things are influencing us, and many times we recognize we don't want elements of those things. So when did you mentioned that? When did you really realize that was your filter in life? So you want to expand on that?
Yeah. So let me clarify your question, Tom. The filter of not knowing what I wanted, is that what you're asking me?
Mm-hmm.
Is when I decided that I had to do something with my life. I'm, going to be 35 years old, I think at the time, maybe 32,
Wow.
32, 33, right? And I'm like, gosh, quit college, went into the military, landed in California, and now what am I going to do? And a gentleman, he was my pastor, actually. He was trying to talk me into going back to school, finishing my degree and getting my master's in psychology or social work, which were my interest. And it just didn't feel right. And one day it just came to me, I think I'll go to massage therapy school.
Wow.
And I say this because it wasn't like I planned to. I think all of us have those experiences of those moments of discernment, of intuition, of that still small voice within us that speak to us. And that's very important, I think, in all of our journeys, is to realize it's not up here, it's here and within us, and already within us. So yeah, I ended up going to massage school. I had no clue why I was there. Never had a massage in my life. I had a whole lot of hangups with my own body. And here I am in a profession where now I get to touch people and I'm going to be touched. But I knew this was it. I knew when I was in school, it was it. I didn't know why. I didn't know anything else. And I continued following that nudge, that knowing. And that's really what I can say, that filter of paying attention, listening, knowing, and then trusting, and not getting caught up in the culture, what other people say, what the culture says to do, get a degree, get a safe job for the next 40 years of your life. For some people, that's what they do, and that's fine. That certainly wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
But I'm going to go. Mark could go ahead and ask a question. I got one. I'm going to.
I was just going to ask you. So when you were in the military, did you plan on making it a career, or were you just like, hey, I'm going to try this for my 3 or 2 year hitch and then I'm getting out? Or did you kind of approach it that way? Or
when I entered the military, Mark, it was more of an escape. I quit school. I didn't want to go back home, and I didn't know what to do. And I really wanted to travel. So I thought, wow, what better way to do it is to go into the military. And at one point, in my service, I thought I was going to make it a career. I wanted to go and be an officer because
Oh,
I
wow.
with some education,
Okay.
right? And
Right.
you
Right.
know, went up in rank a little bit, and I thought, wow, you know, but something just said no. This isn't it. This is not it. And again, I'm kind of walking in the fog, and yet within that fog, things were clear. And you know, the fog doesn't always have to be scary, and
Right.
we get lost in it. I love the fog as a metaphor. We just have to pay attention and trust it.
Right.
And trust it. And I knew, and I was this close to making it a career, at least going for it, at least.
Did you pick up some good traits in there, being in the Army?
Military? Oh, it softened my stubbornness. Maybe that I could say.
Kathy, would you say when you're in that environment, you have to be a team player? Do you think,
Oh yes,
even if you don't like that word, team player?
yeah. Team player, discipline for sure.
Yeah.
Discipline for sure.
We have a few people jumping on. Just to acknowledge a few. Glenn Bill here. I interviewed Glenn last week.
Yeah.
He's an influencer in my life. That's going to lead to one of my next questions. Thanks for jumping on, Glenn. Appreciate our conversation last week. And Shamiko, I just want to recognize she shared love the journey.
Right.
You know?
My apologies for misspelling her first name. I responded to her, but please forgive me.
But you talked about what you didn't want, and you got to California. You did a lot of things that a lot of people do. You get jobs. You were waitressing and in that. But I'm going to ask this question for you: is that bring this banner up here? Who are the greatest influencers in your life? Because I think one of the things that we could lean into as we grow and expand, take on new challenges in life. Hey, quitting college, going to California, going to the military, come to California, didn't know anybody there. That takes a special degree of courage to do that. But just talk about some of the influencers in your life that has built the foundation of who you are and where you are today and where you're going to go.
Well, being raised in the 60s, in a family, a larger family, I'll start out to answer that question, really my faith. I went to parochial school for 8 years, and I think that formed me a lot in many different ways. Not only by faith, but I had an opportunity to play sports starting at a very young age, competitive sports.
Oh, cool.
And basketball, track, softball, and I loved it. I loved my coaches, particularly one great influencer. She saw me and she encouraged me. And I'm in 6th, 7th grade, and we all need that for someone to really see you and encourage you and let you know what they see. So my childhood, of course, my mother and dad both influenced me greatly through who just they were. My mom, a gentle soul and spirit. She taught me gentleness. My father was quite fierce and disciplined and, get her done kind of guy. And I have both parts of my parents in me. My grandfather, for many different reasons, and the military, of course. My husband, Tom, our marriage, our relationship has greatly influenced me. And I could name many, many people and books and authors, but I'm going to maybe end this question with this. Is so many ordinary people that offered me exactly what I needed at the time were some of my greatest influencers. And I remember at least a handful of them, like it was yesterday. And just those little pieces of what they offered me, a book, guidance, something that really woke me up. And that's important to know and understand too, that it doesn't have to be this grandiose influencer or episode in one's life. I think that we're all here to influence each other by just who we are. And sometimes that influence isn't so inviting. I mean, a lot of my bad choices in life influenced me as I, grew up, reflected back. Say, I don't think I want to do that one again. So I think waking up is a big influencer. I think waking up and all those ordinary people I met in my life. I mean, I'll tell you, when I was in the military, he was a staff sergeant, quite a bit older than me, and he offered me the book, The Prophet.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm 20 some years old, looking just to have some fun, right? Drinking a little bit. And, but he gave me this book, and I still have it today. I peeked into it, but I set it aside for years because I was too busy doing this life. I wasn't serving me really quite well. That's what I'm talking about. People like that, And I did eventually open the book and read it, and I still have it on my bookshelf. And I know that deep in my soul, those ordinary people can be the greatest influencers in our life. Because they were for me. Mm-hmm.
We've got another comment from Shamiko. She said, "I'd love to speak with Kathy. Mm-hmm. Your words ring." I've got a thing here in today's.
It says your words ring true to today's alignment. Yeah. So she's talking about, even though you're talking the 60s, and what you're talking about is still true today. Because I think others see us at another level, or I'll say plateau, as you move and grow and develop through your life, that you don't even see yourself becoming, or the possibility. I was listening to a podcast today when I talked with Tom earlier, and it was for men. But the one thing they talked about is that, everybody has setbacks, but it's how you handle them and get yourself back up and get on track. Because I had a couple challenges in the past 2 weeks, which I shared before the show, but nothing traumatic. But once you get out of that routine, then you get to see, like, when things come at you from different angles. I got this to do, I got that to do, and then how do you handle it? And do you have the discipline and prioritizing your day and allocating time? And the one thing my dad, and that's why I don't like to say I don't have enough time, he was a stickler on that. Don't tell me you don't have enough time. Or his other famous quote was, "Stop telling me what you can't do and show me what you can do." I remember all these things now, and there's truth to them. I know they're from another era, because my dad was from the greatest generation. But I guess as we got older, I thought about, hey, this guy, he didn't even have a TV, but he saw, TV develop, radio, TV, and then it went into color TV to technology to, and one day I remember I had an iPhone, and I said, "Here, let's send Dennis a text." That's my brother. And he said, "How are we going to do that?" And I said, "Push that button right there." I set it up for him, and I said, "You just now send a text." And he couldn't believe that there was a message being sent. Mm-hmm. But my point about all that is, those people, we kid about it. My dad scraped and had 2 or 3 jobs as a kid, newspaper routes, and it's, they didn't take anything for granted. And I miss those people, when I say those people from that generation, because they have so much to offer. It's scary. And I know they're slowly leaving us. Um, I wish I would have had more time to spend with my dad. I did, because he made it a point to come see me. We would go see him. Of course, the last time I saw him was in hospice, but just talking to him about stuff and how you deal with things, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And you can't put a dollar figure on that, because he really started sharing things with me. Um, you know,
Mark, you are so speaking my language and exactly my thoughts on that. And we could go off for hours.
I'm sorry.
No, just what you just
Maybe I should be a coach. I don't know. I just
really,
there
the
could be a
elderly
calling.
have so much wisdom to teach us.
Yeah.
And our culture just as a whole throws them away.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, it's like you put them on a shelf,
Yes.
but then there are some like my son and that, and they'll talk to him about different things. And
Mhm.
when they do listen, I'll just say, hey, just listen to what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. My dad said, do you ever think that I wasn't 21 at one time, Mark, or 16? Do you not think for one iota I didn't know what you were doing at 16? I used to tell my mom that I know what he's doing, and he should be doing that.
Mhm.
And it was kind of comical. He said, but a smart person knows when to cut it off. You know, I know you're going to like test the waters. And I
Mhm.
always kind of kept that in the back of my head,
Mhm.
you know.
Your dad was very wise, Mark.
And the best part of it was, um, and I'm not saying this to brag, but he wound up being a millionaire from, I know Tom and I have talked about, from the old school mentality of saving and, you know, being strategic about things. And,
Yeah.
you know, and if he saw what was going on today with, I can't get a job or I can't do this, he just kind of look at people and say, my goodness, look at all the pluses you have over what I had. You've got the technology is just exploded. I mean, it's just, there's so many things out there. And I
I'm
can't even keep up
A
with
new
it.
show, you guys. Elder wisdom.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Don't
Kathy,
be sorry.
Kathy made a point is that our mentors, the people that influence the most, are sometimes that we just got to pay attention. It could be a person you just met today. It could be your father, one specific quality they bring to your life, and embrace that, because everybody has something to everybody. And I believe everybody has some gift or some talent to do that. I'm going to go back to what Kathy talked about, and I'd like to sort of bring a timeline of, she knew when she was a little kid. I know that story. We don't need to go into the story today. The heart of a teacher. She always wanted to teach.
Teach.
So I'm going to back the story up a little bit to set it up here for Kath. I met her at a real estate licensing course. She was in financial services, and my business partner, and I think it's a funny little story. I'm walking in. I had been single for a number of years, and Pete says, "There's a lot of women in this class, in a real estate class." And Pete says to me, he says, "This is a great place to meet some women." And I was walking an aisle, and I said, Pete, they're probably all married. And Kathy just sort of looked back up at me, and I always do this. She put the left hand up, and that sort of opened up the door for conversation, and that's how we met. So, but her story of wanting to teach, and she was, and her heart has always been there, and she went into massage school, but she took on a job. What was your first teaching gig, Kath? This sort of taking this. You got into massage school, but you were doing part time thing. What were you doing? What was your first teaching experience?
Yeah, my first teaching experience, and this whole conversation will lead into, elevate your profits and MSIs and that whole picture. Um, I um, There was a massage school in town. I was living near Madison at the time, and they were hiring therapists.
Oh, wow.
Hiring teachers. I'm sorry, they were hiring teachers. So I didn't even think about it. I called them immediately, and I called for an interview, and they said, yes, please come over. And the thing is, I knew I couldn't teach any sciences because that is not how my mind thinks. I had to get special tutoring for those type of classes in massage school. I couldn't teach hands-on because I learned in California Esalen massage, which was not even known here pretty much in the Midwest. And so I'm thinking, God, I don't even know what I could teach, but I'm going to go to the interview anyway. So I went through the interview, and here I am again. I can't teach this. I can't teach that. I can't teach this. And then the person that was interviewing me said, well, what do you think about ethics? And there was one of those moments again where I knew deep in my heart and soul, that's it. And I said, yes, I'll do it. So that was that. I got the job, and I went home, and I think literally started to create my curriculum. And that was a gigantic door opener to my career.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, it was one of those, and I speak like this because it's true, but I think so many people, they get caught up in what they want to do, or they get caught up in what they think they should do, or they get caught up in what other people think they should do.
Right.
And, I think it's important to get caught up in what your heart and soul tell you to do. And that sometimes is risky.
Yes.
But life is a big risk, right? I mean, life is a big risk. And of course I have my doubts. Can I do this? Will the students like me? I don't really have any experience in teaching, but I'm like, but I'm going to do it. I will make this work. And I did, with a whole lot of support and help. And again, that opened the door. After that, I found that I did have a little bit of a gift for teaching. Students really responded to me. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, maybe I've got something here. And so I created my own continuing education program called Ethical Dimensions. And I started teaching continuing education. I got my first teaching job probably in 1998. I started my continuing education business, and I think it was about 2003, and I still have it today, where I offer continuing education in my profession for continuing education, and nationally, locally, and I love it. And I thank Sidney Portier for that.
I have a question for you, Catherine, your clarification.
Yes, Tom.
It's because you followed your heart, and you didn't know what you didn't know, right? Because you weren't hung up on degrees and classes and credentials. But what did that do, following your heart? Because it caused you to investigate, and you started seeking out those that had experience in that, like Cedar Barstow and
Right.
that discipline, Hakomi,
Yes.
the practitioner. So because I know this, I'm speaking on behalf of what I know of Kathy, is her heart opened up the doors, and she followed that heart, and fear didn't get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And she became very well trained in schools from some very sophisticated, well-known people in those areas. And today, from my perspective, she holds the light as they held it. So she's very accomplished in what she's doing with her talents and her skill. And my message here, Kathy, is basically clarifying: just follow your heart. You'll figure things out along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And Tom, you mentioned the word fear, that, not letting fear get in the way. I was one fearful woman. I think, back in the days, I was scared of my own shadow, as I say. And I had no business experience. My self-confidence was minimal. Um, I was fearful that I couldn't do it. I wasn't good enough. Um, but I'll tell you what is for me what countered fear, I think I can say it that way, in my life and all those paradigms, limiting paradigms, is I made a decision that was non-negotiable in my life. I was going to make this work, being a massage therapist, being an educator, being an influencer, teaching, and earning money. Because there were many people that were broke as a massage therapist. And that was no way that I was going to live a life like that. And so when I have conversations around fear and why, my third word that I love to use is non-negotiable. Because we all know when things are non-negotiable, there's no movement. There is no room to back down, right? It's just non-negotiable. So you move through your fear, you move through doubt and those paradigms of limiting thoughts. For me, that worked. It had to be non-negotiable. I was driven to make my life work the way I wanted it to work.
Yeah.
With, of course, help from all around me, but the guidance, the invisible guidance all around me and within me. But that term I love to use and talk about. And sometimes I think maybe I'll write a book on that topic of non-negotiable.
That'd be a great book.
Strong. You know, I think when I hear that word, it's strong and it's like determined, and nothing is going to get in a person's way if you know your why and you make that a non-negotiable piece in your life, because then it filters down to your decisions, your priorities, how you live every minute of your day, right? How you spend your money, what books you read, who you hang out with.
You know what, Kathy? You know who you sound like is Dr. Miles Monroe. You're clear on your vision and your purpose. And that's either nothing, because it's like you say, non-negotiable. When you're clear, you filter those things out. But I want to set this stage. Now you're in the massage industry. You're teaching in a massage school. You're teaching what? Business, right? Business acumen,
business.
and ethics, continuing education. But this sort of, you mentioned something, that you're in an industry that, you know, people that work in the massage industry, there's a great need for that, a great holistic benefit in that area. But unfortunately, that culture, that business culture, has a poor relationship with business concepts and money. And this sort of spurred you, because you've been very successful economically in your businesses. And we look at people, right? We've had these conversations many times. Why are they struggling? And so that sort of made that transition. How can this has been a process now over several years, is to help those people to stay in the industry. If you can't make money, you're not going to be in the industry, because we've got bills to pay and all that. So what did you see in your why and what you want to put together? And this is going to lead to the book and some of the other things you're doing, because I think what you're teaching is the right mindset. We can talk about that. And understanding that in a profession, you can get burnt out, physically burnt out. You can get emotionally burned out, all those type of things, the type of work that you do. And then that you can maybe address why you'd have multiple streams of parallel incomes that has sustained you financially, and how you want to bring that to attention. Because what we're talking about today would apply to any business out there, no matter what the industry is, no matter what your craft or gift is. So I'll just let you ramble about that.
Yeah, Tom, you know, no matter what business you're in, I think our conversation really does speak to anybody, that wants to be in business for themselves, right, as an entrepreneur. And I'll go back a minute. You mentioned something in my teaching curriculum. I did teach business. And I remember having students, they couldn't even handle hearing the word business. It was that closed down. And the relationship to money was very, very limited. So you have these two mindsets of hating business for whatever reason, and then money was bad for whatever reason. And here I am teaching business. But I'll tell you what, and I say this humbly and with deep gratitude, after 36 hours of business course, their heads were turned because they realized that business wasn't so bad, and that they had to become businessmen and women in order to make it in this profession. Whether you work for someone else or were an entrepreneur, you're always in business for yourself. It's a great mindset. It'll make you a number one employee wherever you are. And the whole money thing, I think I have this, and perhaps I can bring this out. This is a piggy bank. And I had this since I was a kid. This is no kidding. There's pennies in it. And I remember collecting pennies and change and probably anything I could get my hands on that was worth anything. Because for me, even as a little child, I knew money was going to bring me freedom. That was my relationship to money, part of it. My father was a great influencer with money and money management, living below your means. It's good to have money. And that has carried me through as a teacher, as a practitioner. I have, always been in the top 10 earner of my profession. But I knew that I couldn't earn the money I wanted to if I simply did massage. So I knew very early in my professional career, I had to have multiple sources of income. Otherwise, I was going to burn out mentally, physically, and emotionally. So thus I went into teaching. Writing. And now I sell product.
Coaching as well.
It was MSIs. Crucial, because with COVID and everything too, things were shut down. And being a massage therapist, many of them closed their doors and never have returned. Or they had no money for that year. And I immediately went into getting all my continuing education classes online.
Look who's on. Elizabeth.
I see Elizabeth. Wow.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for jumping on.
Mm-hmm. So, Tom, I don't know if that answered your question, but
yeah, it does, because I think, it's many times we're in a profession and there could be an impact like COVID to be, for example, that impacted that industry specifically, and they didn't have a plan B, or they didn't have anything set up they can just transition or fill a gap in the times when a down market, whatever. So it's a mindset of looking at your business, and this is what you've been teaching and what I've been taught all these years about business, is you're in your lane, but what's the lane to the right and the lane to the left that will support your main gig if this gig goes down a little bit? Mm-hmm. So you were impacted, but you weren't impacted way most were, because you had all your ducks in a row. Mm-hmm. You've been coaching and consulting. I mean, you've done many different things that run parallel to what you do. And I think the message here, would you agree, is that find that thing you love, but find those things will support what you love no matter what happens.
Exactly, Tom. That's a great way to put it. Your professional wheelhouse doesn't need to simply be one thing. It has to be multiple things. But you get to choose. I got to choose what those multiple spokes were going to be on my wheel. So the wheel would be balanced, right? And keep moving. And I want to say something. I think maybe Elizabeth spurred this on, just seeing her name. But I think it's important for people to know this too. When I entered the profession, I knew nothing of business. Nothing. Marketing, networking, how to ask for the next appointment. I knew none of that. I was scared of all of that. Did I go back to school and learn about it? No. What I did is make a decision on my why, what I really wanted, and I went out and figured it out. And that is my message to many people, to include my students. You don't need a master's in business. You don't need an undergraduate degree in business to figure and be really good at things. You just need a passionate heart and very clear on your why. And then you can do whatever you want to do.
Kath, I got a story I want to share, and this goes back in her. I've been an entrepreneur way before I even met Kathy. So I had sort of I'm psychologically unemployable. That thing called a job or whatever it's something I've resisted for a lot of reasons. But I remember early in her career, and I think it's important this because it sort of leads. It will translate to anything you do. She's her calendar keeps getting booked and booked and booked and booked. And she's teaching about how to get referrals, build that referral thing, the process to do it. But what she didn't realize until later, but I recognize it, is referrals don't come because of your knowledge. They come because they feel your heart. And when they left your sessions, they left there with a high energetic level. They could not help but share it with their friends and family. To this day, every time she gets a new client, within weeks, she's got 2 to 3 new people coming because she transfers an essence of who she is, her love, what she does, and her caring. And I think one of the greatest attributes you have, Kathy, is this. Do you see me? Do you hear? And do you care? And that is the energy that they take. And that's how, and if you apply that principle in any business, you will have more referrals, more business coming to you. They'll be spreading the word because they know you have a gift, whatever it is. And I just want to share that with you because that's your greatest talent, is the ability to listen to people, show that you care. Any comment there that you'd like to share? Then we're going to get into your book a little bit.
I think that's true for every human being. Every one of us, look at little children, take an hour or two and go to a park, a school, watch little kids. They're always, do you see me? Do you hear me? And do you authentically care about me? And that's how we want as adults, whether you're 2 or 92. And I learned that a long, long time ago. My grandfather. And I don't think I need to go get into that story, but he's the one that really, in his own way of being, woke me up to listening. I didn't name it as such at the time. I was only 5 or 6, but I knew darn well that he saw me and he heard me and he truly cared about me. And that has stuck with me, rooted in my soul up to this point of my life at 66 years old. And it's a big part of what I teach. I hope it is a big part of who I am. And it's a big part of what has brought success into my life. And again, one doesn't need a college degree. Nothing wrong with college. That's how I'm saying it. To really offer people The simple things of life. The simple things of life. And so my book, I know, Tom, you're going to ask me that next, which I just finished and it's out there, The Soul of Ethical Service. I teach ethics from a transformational perspective. I call it transformational ethics. It's really a study of oneself and how you show up in relationship to another human being, whether it's in a massage room, in a classroom, over sitting in a coffee shop over coffee. It doesn't matter. The Soul of Ethical Service was written from my heart and soul after years of how many years? 25 years of teaching. And again, it's really a book about, a study about you and how you're being with another human being, how you're being with yourself. And I think that is really what brings success into one's life. And maybe we can talk about success on another show. You know, what is success? I think we all have to define success for ourselves. I know for me, success for me is to discover my gifts and use my gifts to serve others. And Mark, you said something, the first thing out of your mouth almost when we started at 5 o'clock, you said, service to others is the rent we pay here on earth. And can I copy that? That is so.
It's not really mine. It's been kicked around, but yeah, that's just something that resonates with me. And then it just keeps coming back to that word, like yours, the soul of ethical service. And I constantly tell myself, Tom knows I spend a lot of time on the phone, but that's why I'm calling people, not to sell them trinkets, beads, programs, whatever. I don't want to be, like some flim flam salesy person. I'm asking questions if there's any way with what I have, it can help them solve a problem or refine. And you touched on something about people getting out of massage therapy. COVID, now everybody's putting their head up to the sky and chicken littling it and saying, oh my God, we're going through a recession. But to me, these are great times now to take advantage of that and help others.
Yes.
That's the way I look at it, and not use that as an excuse, but kind of more fuel.
Yeah.
And,
fuel. That's a great word, Mark. And, when you shared that earlier about service to others is the rent we pay, you said it from such a place of yourself, your heart. It's like, wow, he really means what he says. Not only means it, but you live it. And people can recognize that if they pay attention, and then they can trust you, right? I think.
Right.
Trust and safety are pretty important.
Funny you mentioned that, Kathy, and I don't want to, this is your show, but someone reached out to me and said, you are the most persistent son of a gun I ever met. And the next thing you know, they sent me an email with, here's who you need to talk to. And then the next thing you know, we were having a conversation, which led to my virtual conversation, my associate and myself with 2 other people, which looks like it's going to happen. But, it's really, you never know when it's going to happen. But it was really kind of weird. Out of the blue, I got this email, and he just, and they need help. And, they have a young sales team, so it's interesting. And then there's an opportunity, and then boom.
Yeah.
That sort of goes to something here. I'm just going to bring this up. Kathy's been a great mentor for me and teacher. She has taught me how to listen better. I got a long ways to go.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah,
we all do.
By far is probably the perfect example from my perspective and what I've experienced and how she interfaces with other people. You heard Elizabeth's testimony. She's the best listener. so on and so forth. That's not an anomaly. That is a gift she has. And it opens the doors. It brings people to that conversation that you really want. Everybody out there has a voice. We have something to give. But if we're trying to spout our voice, we need to step back and listen to the other person's voice. And then when we do speak, our voice has power at that point. When Kathy's sort of that influencer, this quote that I just came up with, this fell out of the sky onto me. And I said, that's a Tomism. And, I'm not going to, but it's really directly related to the influence Kathy's given me with other things that's actually sort of manifested. And it's so true.
Cool.
Her voice is very strong, not because she's loud and pushing her point and doing all those things. She just sits back and listens. And then when she speaks, they're open to listen. That's her gift. And I owe that statement to her. So I just want to give you. That's
great. That's great.
It's a great statement, Tom.
Thank you.
It's a great statement. Your voice becomes stronger when you hear the other person's voice first. I think listening presence is one of the greatest gifts we can give another human being.
Right.
But we're not taught how to listen, let alone respond to what we hear. And yeah.
I got a question about the book. Let's talk about your book a little bit. People do
yes.
The book. I just, it applies to anybody that wants to improve their relationships in their business. It's written from the perspective of a health practitioner or a holistic practitioner, massage practitioner. But that relationship is no different than if you're a real estate person or if you're selling widgets. It doesn't make any difference. It's who you show up as determines the transaction, the ethics of it. And where can people get your book, Kath?
Yeah, they can get it through Book Baby.
Let me put that up here somewhere.
Yeah, which most people haven't heard, but they're wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. They're like back in the days when you could call somebody, answer the phone.
Oh my goodness.
And they return calls.
It's not Amazon.
No.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, you can get the book on Amazon,
sure,
ebook only, but
or any bookstore.
Get hard copy and ebook. But I love Book Baby. I have immense respect for them, deep gratitude for them, and I would suggest getting on Book Baby.
Cool.
And you can go to Kathy's website as well, ethicaldimensions.com, and get a link to look at the book. You can contact Kathy, just like the young lady that says you'd like to have a conversation. There's Kathy's contact information. We'll get that. I know Shamiko personally through Rex Sykes, but share with the audience. It's not just a book to read. What are you planning on doing this with your new business associate with Susan? Just share what your mission is now, taking this concept and moving it forward in your new business model.
Yeah, I have aligned myself with a colleague. She's from Denver, and together we're creating what's called New Business Dimensions. Her gift and expertise is really in the business aspect of it and coaching that aspect. Mine is around transformational ethics and then self-leadership. Leading from within. So we're combining our strengths together, those three major spokes, and creating what we're calling new business dimensions to offer through anyone that, particularly massage therapists, but anyone in the holistic profession that wants to become an entrepreneur, and so it's beyond, I guess, the holistic profession. So I'm very excited about it because I love to fill a missing link for people. Which brings so much value. It's like, know the missing link of people's lives, people's profession, and then fill it with your gifts, that you've been given. And so that's my next phase is keeping everything that I'm doing, but then adding this new business development. And eventually with my book, my plan is to do a teacher training because my goal is to work until I can't anymore or choose not to. And which hopefully will be a long ways down the road. So I want to really do teacher training with my book.
You beat me to it. I was going to ask, are you going to try and incorporate that into school systems? And
yes, I'd like it in massage schools, and then do a real training on how to teach my approach to ethics. And that's a hard thing. It's like keeping this alive. What I have come to know is so crucial in our profession and really in life. It's kind of like footprints in the sand, right? We all need to leave footprints in the sand.
Right.
Whose footprints are going to be. That's part of the freedom of choice we have, right? So, yeah. And if anybody's listening, I don't know, maybe my main message perhaps is tonight, if you doubt yourself, it's okay, but keep on moving. Don't let your own self-doubt, your paradigms, limitations, wishy-washy, whatever it is, prevent you from moving forward and doing what you love to do. I'm an end-of-life doula also, so I work with people that are dying. And I know that they're not so regretful of they never bought a Mercedes-Benz. They're more regretful of never doing what they really wanted to do in their life. And I don't want that for myself, and I don't want that for anybody else. But one has to choose that decision for themselves. Because comfort zone is pretty tempting for a lot of people. Following your heart is not always comfortable, but it is worth every minute, penny, everything. It is worth everything. Everything. And it all has to be non-negotiable. I thank the two of you for inviting me tonight.
No, this is good. Very good.
So we'll definitely have you back on again.
Yeah.
So to maybe
we need to let Kathy get into her book, more, and really.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, Kath, I know I'm going to see you in a little bit. Thank you for being here. We're going to put you, Mark and I are going to put you in the back room, and we're going to wrap up. I'll tell you what, an hour goes in a hurry, doesn't it, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
It flies. It screams. It.
And I want to acknowledge all those that had came on today. We had Glenn Bill. I got to say, thank Glenn for jumping on, and Shamiko and Elizabeth.
Yep, Shamiko, Elizabeth.
I don't know how many people were Zooming
Robert
on.
Brooker. There were probably other people listening. Yeah. And as always, I will say this, Canada, Robert Brooker, deep thinker that you are. I love his marathon insertions sometimes. They're cool. I mean, he makes you think. But I get where you're coming from, Robert. So
I just want to comment on one, and I'll give credit where the credit is due. Robert made a comment here. If I can find it. He says, I hear that Tom is outstanding fellow. My dagger of humor demands.
Yeah, my dagger of humor demands I ask of this if this is true. Yeah.
You know,
So
I
yeah,
am
it
who
is.
I am because of Kathy.
Yeah.
I owe everything to her for my growth, my purpose, and why. So that brings tears to my eyes. So I'm going to put
That's
you in the back
nice.
room because I'll start crying. Okay.
There you go. That's nice.
All right.
Mark.
Oh, thank you so much.
Give
Boom, boom,
everybody.
boom, boom. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that is my why, Mark. And
Oh, yeah.
she's a great example, great teacher. Um, her essence of who she is, who she shows up with, her talent and gift of listening. And I think that that's a message that anybody's out there in business. And me and you, we can probably relate to this. We want to do all this, right? She just sits back. And then when she does speak, her voice has power
Right.
because she's recognized them. And then her wisdom, and she's not trying to pour it on them. And then it resonates because when that other person's voice is heard, they're willing to listen to yours. And that's why she's been so successful. That's why she has referrals. It's come out, she had 2 practices, one in Madison, one in our community here at our wellness center. She shut down the other one. And she didn't have a lot of customers in our Oconomowoc thing. She was still running the center and having that thing.
Right.
The next thing she was happening is she get one customer, and three weeks later she's got 5 or 6 new customers because that who she is just caused that person to become her advocate.
I
That
thought
is the
that,
essence of business, right?
yeah, I thought that was kind of cool how she mentioned that people got out of the industry, massage therapy because of COVID. And, um, we all have, I hate that word excuse. I don't like it either. But I guess that's what you'd call it, that some people said, well, I'm out of here and
And
what's going on in our world today, you're going to see other people take a backdoor exit stage left, because of, what the prognosticators are saying. But I thought that was neat because let's face it, COVID, you don't want to touch anybody. She alluded to that briefly, but I caught it. I was listening to her, and some people probably just shut it down and said, "Hey, I'm out of here."
And the real message there is when you have your passion for what you do, there's going to be curveballs in any business. It could be
Sure.
economic ones. It could be something we've experienced.
Sure.
But when your passion is strong enough, you'll figure out how to continue to delivering your gift.
Right.
And that's what I think the message, why she's so adamant is because that's an industry that's so needed. There's so much therapeutic benefit from all different modalities in the holistic space or in touch and massage, emotionally, physically. And we lose that gift of people because they don't know how to make money, or they let circumstances influence them to get out of it. They're gonna live their life with a regret. I think the way she said it was perfect. Follow your heart. Don't live a life where that the last things you say you have regrets. Hey, just get out there, put your gift out there. You still got to take care of your responsibilities. You can still find those channels to do what you love in and around everything else.
Right.
And it's not always about the business. It's always about
No.
the heart. How can you serve people?
Absolutely.
Well, Mark.
Well, this was another good one here. I enjoyed speaking to Miss Kathy. She did a great job. I think she's been probably one of our better guests. If you want to know my personal opinion, I really enjoyed what she shared with us, and couldn't have come at a better time for me. Always looking to, up myself another level. So, and having everybody else out here, I just want to say thank you for joining us. We know you didn't have to do it. You had better things to do with your time, because not everybody stays asphyxiated to their phones or whatever. We get that. But, and Tom, I appreciate your questions you ask, as always, so I'm here to learn from others. That's my goal. And,
I agree, Mark. We all have something to learn, right?
Oh, absolutely. Each day I realize how ignorant I am about things, Stupid's permanent, but ignorance just, somebody can teach you if you're willing to, learn. So,
Yeah. Well, my friend, we're going to sign it out here.
oh,
And
absolutely.
again,
And,
elevate your
and
profits.
hey, Tom, I just got to ask,
Sure.
I told you I was going to do this.
Oh,
And
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
got to hold this up here. You can see what it says. It's Renew 28. So I got to order some more of this because somebody in my household's been using this and it hasn't been me as much. Not that I'm not using it, I use it when I need to. So my wife had foot surgery and so forth, but that has nothing to do with it. She has some other shoulder or whatever. And this morning I thought it was hilarious. Hey, do you have that ASEA? I need some of that. And I just started laughing. I'm like, really? Okay. But that is our sponsor. And I don't want to get into another rabbit hole here about that, but it's
Well, Mark, I think it's okay, and the reason for it, and I think Benjamin Gay the third says you guys are too shy to express what you
I know we gotta be more. What's the word he used? What was the not assertive, but what the heck does it?
Don't be shy. Just don't be shy about it.
Right,
You
but
got something
seriously,
about
it's
something
these
people need.
these are. You saw the beginning of this show, ASEA. Great products. You need to at least check it out for yourself. You know where to go. And we're not even here trying to sell you anything. That's not the point. The point is we're talking about your health. And if you're serious about it, take a look at some of the things that they have to offer. I mean,
Yeah, we got a banner scrolling across there. If anybody wants to know, they
right.
can contact Mark or myself. We can give you some information. But this is everybody's going to know what redox sodium molecules in the next 2 to 5 years. It's the most significant scientific breakthrough in the health industry. It's amazing, and it's not another deal. And that's my mission and passion and my purpose. In my life today, I've shifted that over. Kathy's seen the benefit when our wellness center, what it's doing in people's life and the health. And so, and I tell you what, we're in the business of bringing people that are looking for opportunities. Hey, reach out to Mark and I. We have a tremendous career path opportunity, not just to sell a product or anything like that, but really making a career path in the health industry and making a difference in people's lives. And we'd love to talk to you. Or if you're in that space already, you want to have that parallel adjunct therapy that could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we can talk to you about out there. Anybody's in the health profession. This is an adjunct therapy that every health practitioner will be using in the very near future. So we did our business thing. Thanks, Ben, for sparking a fire under our butt. And we got to get Ben back on here pretty soon.
Yeah, we need to get you out back with us again, Mr. Ben Gay. So,
yeah, okay. Mark, we're done, right?
Absolutely.
All right. We are going to shut down. Let me get this thing all set up here so we can do our rollout. Mark, it's a pleasure. Take care of yourself.
You got it.
Oh, I got an announcement. I cannot forget this.
Oh, next week. Oh.
This one, I tell you what, anybody that's out there on Friday, G-Force, I'm interviewing this beautiful woman here. Stop, sitting, and stand. Phyllis Calderon. She's a well-accomplished violin player, string player. And she's going to open up our show. If you want some entertainment, beautiful music, Phyllis is going to open up with playing the violin. And maybe she'll do some requests. She plays all genres out there. But we're going to talk about, people are sitting too much. Get up and start not exercising. Get out and start taking your gift to the world. Quit and stand. Take a position. So, wonderful book. Great woman. I've known her for about 3 years now. She just published her book. So, that's
cool.
And then next week on Elevate Your Profits, we have the gentleman from Schooling Mitchell coming in. Success in business is managing your expenses. Dennis Tran, his local consultant in my Milwaukee area, he's going to talk to individuals. It also applies to personal. Why you should manage your expenses. properly so that you can accumulate wealth. That's what business building is about. But if you squander your money, you can't build wealth. That plain and simple. That's a Warren Buffett principle. So that's it. That's the announcements. I just want to make sure we got those.
Okay. Well, let's let everybody go.
You got it, buddy.